So every year, big brothers and big sisters of St. John hold a big book sale in August, and I always look forward to it because it gives me an opportunity to pick up curious finds at an affordable rate. Books don't come cheap, guys, and you know this. So whatever opportunity I can get to pick up some really interesting books or new writers at cheap price, it's always welcome. This year especially, I took a different turn. Last year I was big on fantasy books in my search, but this year I focused more on classics and more challenging reads, and this was inspired by recommendations by book reviewers, writers and thinkers. And without further ado, let's get into them. First, I have the Orenda by Joseph Boyden. Before August, I had never heard of him, but I was really happy to go through the blurb and found that this might be something that would be right straight up my alley. It's a historical fiction, but with fantastical elements. It's set in 17th century Canada. The story revolves around an Iroquois girl who has special powers, and she was kidnapped by, in the middle of a war between her tribe and the Hurons. She was kidnapped by a Huron warrior called Bird, yes. And when he finds out that she has special powers, he begins to think that this might be his key to turning the tides in the war. The book is also touted as a 400-year, that's almost 4 centuries, 400-year saga. But what is more interesting, or what I believe will be interesting about this book, is that it presents an opportunity to examine the ways in which, or by which, these three central characters, oh yes, I had the third, Christophe, who is a Jesuit missionary, and of course I don't have all the details about his role in the lives of, or even in the trajectory of the whole story, but what I believe this story presents is an opportunity to actually interrogate or explore the ways by which these lives are interwoven, how their destinies cross, but also interestingly, how would Joseph Boyden, the writer, unfold the development or develop these characters and make them interesting, relatable through their transformations over the course of the story. So that's one I'm really looking forward to reading soon, hopefully. Next, I have A Usual Suspect. If you followed any of my previous especially one of my previous videos where I gushed over the works and the contributions of Tad Williams to fantasy genre, I love this guy. I mean, the series Memory, Sorrow and Thorns is one that I am a great fan of, and it gave me great joy to find the Witchwood Crown, which is an extension of the Austen-Ad universe, but this sets off a new series in the Austen-Ad universe. For this was the last Kings of Austen-Ad. I think that's the new series that this is the first book in. and yep, The Last King of Oceanad. So this is the first book. The second book in that series is The Empire of Grass, and that was followed by The Heart of What Was Lost. So if you finished Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, just know that you have another foray to brace yourself for, which is Witchwood Crown by Tad Williams. So I'm looking forward to this, and I have a video which I would link to, in which I participated in a conversation on the first book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series, Dragonbone Chair, with Epic and Alicia, Birdie with the book. So look out for that. Take what you may from that conversation, and I hope that it spurs you to explore or check out Tad Williams or any of his books. So now that was all for fantasy, and like I said before, I was really looking out for classics. So the few classics that I was able to clinch in the book sale are these ones, which I'm going to go into now. First, I have Gerard Manley Hopkins, a selection of his poems and prose by W.H. Gardner. My interest in Gerard Manley Hopkins began with his works in contemplative poetry, and he's very influential, especially on Thomas Merton, who I've also shared that I find him one of my favorite writers. So knowing that he uses language and rhythm to incite or to elicit introspection or reflection is something that I'm really looking forward to. So I'm happy that I was able to get this at the book sale. The next one is Canterbury Tales. So this is Canterbury Tales, Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. For this, I don't have a background in English and literary studies, but I have heard so much about this. I've heard and read the references to his great works, or this great work, but I have never really read it. So this would be my first time of engaging Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. And Canterbury Tales is a collection, or is a collection of tales or stories, satires, satirical stories, and yeah, it actually qualifies as one of the books that I'm picking, or I'm choosing to read, because it's comes across as challenging. I'm looking at thousands and thousands of lines of verse here, and yeah, and it was written in Middle English. This is medieval, set in the medieval period. These stories are set in medieval period, and yeah, so wish me luck. But if you have recommendations as supplementary reads, anything I can read to help me assimilate or understand this a little bit better, or appreciate it a little bit better, please drop the recommendations in the comments. I think I'll need them. Next, in the realm of poetry, I got William Wordsworth's selected poems, and of course, for Wordsworth, definitely I have engaged some of his poems, my high school days, but in this case, or by picking up this particular book with a view to read it, I hope to engage him more fully, I am aware, or I know of his relationships with John Keats, with Coleridge, with his sister, and how influential they were to his poetry, how they inspired him to write more about, write on themes of beauty, on truth, on loyalty, friendship, and also kind of shape, mold his mastery of language to elicit emotions of introspection. So I'm looking forward to reading this, reading Wordsworth, so that I can now beat my chest and say, yes, I understand this guy, and he is an interesting fellow and also quite inspirational. So yeah, William Wordsworth's selected poems now on the TBR. And last but definitely not least, I have St. Augustine's. I was able to pick up, can you get this? I was able to pick up St. Augustine's Confessions. He doesn't, I'm not sure if he needs any introduction. St. Augustine is my patron saint. Turns out. I chose him especially because he had a very interesting backstory. Now, this is not a video to talk about St. Augustine or to preach his works, preach about his works, but St. Augustine and his mother were very influential in my life, in my formation or formative years as a Christian, but also as a man. But in his work, the Confessions, this is St. Augustine's Confessions. Now, he's also known as the Bishop of Hippo, or Archbishop of Hippo. But before he became a bishop, before he became a saint, he was worldly. Put it that way. He was worldly. He was rascally. He did everything. He drank. He fought. But through the intercession of his mother, and she prayed for him throughout her years leading up to her death, until he converted to Christianity. But in this work, he does something really special, and which theologians and philosophers continue to sing his praises, which is the purity, the logic with which he presents his arguments, but not just in his theological work, but especially in it. And this is quite interesting, for a book that is known as biography of sorts, or a memoir. He does something a little bit more than just dish the dirt. He prayerfully reflects on his life, and also presents words and reflections in gratitude for it, in gratitude for his life. Now, there is a special section in this book where he reflects on the death of his mother. I've tried pronouncing this, and I should consult Google to help me with the correct pronunciation. Cassisiacum. I hope I got that right. To Monica's death. Now, one other thing that I found really special about the Confessions is how prayerfully St. Augustine writes, and this is reminiscent of the writings of A.W. Chaucer. If you don't know who he is, he's an evangelical He's also a theologian. I don't know what to call him, how to attribute, but he's a great writer, a great Christian writer, and I really enjoyed reading his works while I was growing up. So I'm really happy to have a hard copy of St. Augustine's Confessions that I can go read and reread, go back to reflect on sections, or to just maybe dwell on little parts that may resonate with me. So yeah, those are the books that I was able to get. Now I wish I could say that I didn't buy any more books after this, but I did, and I think I will present those books in the form of, or by way of, actual or exclusive book reviews, and I'm looking forward to that. We still have a few more weeks to the end of the year, but I think this selection, or these books that I have, or I've presented in this haul, actually informs the kind of books that I'll be reading next year, which will be very specific, and I'll be very intentional about the exact books that I want to make sure that I read before the end of the year, while also indulging in some other impulsive picks or impulsive reads. So that's it from me on this book haul. Let me know what you're reading right now, and until the next one, happy reading.